Of an organised crime gang from Liverpool who targeted vulnerable drug addicts in Weston-super-Mare have been jailed for a total of 17 years.
The gang's leader tried to blackmail a woman and threatened to harm her baby. Well, our Home Affairs correspondent Steve Brodie was in court and he joins us now from Weston. Hello, Steve.
Hi, good evening. Yes, jailing the men at Bristol Crown Court, Judge Lambert said this was a large-scale conspiracy involving the supply of Class A drugs, something he said was a particular problem here in Weston-super-Mare. Caught on CCTV, gang member Daniel Frank paying cash into a bank in the centre of Weston-super-Mare. He's later spotted leaving the bank, confirming the payment has been made. Minutes later, the money deposited from the lucrative heroin and crack cocaine operation is withdrawn by gang boss Thomas Dean hundreds of miles away in Liverpool. Other gang members from the north travelled to Weston to run local minders, who controlled the dealers at street level. Intimidation was widespread. Dean ruled the supply and sale of his drugs empire with an iron fist. He attempted to blackmail a local woman to work as a dealer. The woman who lived here in Argyle Avenue on the Bourneville estate, and whose information led to the gang's arrest, had to be rehoused. Her present whereabouts and identity remained a secret, for her own safety.
We immediately had to take her out of the house that night because of the level of threat to her and her 2-year-old child, and we've rehoused her and she's not returned to her home address since.
He threatened to chop her baby up?
Yeah, sent text messages threatening that he'd cut up her baby and petrol bomb her house when she was asleep.
The gang targeted former addicts and users who came to take part in Weston's drugs rehab programme and who still live in the town.
The levels of threats and intimidation that is given to these vulnerable people have made them scared to the point that even though they're using and involved in dealing drugs, they've come to the police for help.
Thomas Dean, who pleaded guilty to both blackmail and conspiracy to supply Class A drugs, was jailed for 7 years. Daniel Frank, who admitted conspiracy to supply Class A drugs, was ordered to serve 3 years in a young offenders institution. Peter Melia, another 3 years in jail, and Matthew Tarr, who comes from Weston-super-Mare, 4 years behind bars. Joining me now is Paul Routledge, who is a landlord here in the town, who has first-hand experience of the violence associated with drug dealing. Now, Paul, 5 years ago, you were attacked in one of your own flats.
Yes, Steve. I attended a property of mine at about 10 o'clock one evening, and I was attacked by a gentleman who was under the influence of ketamine and stabbed in the head 5 times and left for dead in the corridors.
Well, clearly after that appalling incident, you decided to do something about it, and you set up landlord referencing. What is that and how does it work? It's sort of grapevine for landlords.
Yeah, it's a community of landlord and letting agents, which is now national, which basically we share information on tenants in order to stop taking one another's bad tenants. If they can't get their roots into a community, they can't flourish.
And you help the police as well?
We work with Impact in Jupiter, and the whole network just simply stops them moving around our communities.
Paul, thank you very much indeed. Now, the situation has clearly much improved over the last 10 years, but the police are still very concerned about organised crime gangs moving into towns like Weston and other towns here in the West. Back to you.
Steve, many thanks. Steve Brodie reporting.